let's hear Tony and Ariel talk about the ratings and attendance for AEW in 2025. Once again, this is from the Ariel Helwani Show. Here's Tony Khan.
Fans, there's always a lot of talk about ratings, about attendance. Honest assessment of where you're at right now from a ratings perspective and attendance perspective.
Thank you for that. I'm very excited. We're coming off of an awesome event this past week and awesome ratings. We had a great week. We were one of the top shows on cable.
Okay.
And this year...
What did that do? I don't know the...
It was... so I don't have all the numbers of the DVR, and I don't know the streaming numbers. You got to remember that we have a lot of fans who watch on HBO Max now.
There was a lot of them. There was a lot of them. A lot of them watched on everything. I don't have any numbers to give you.
I can't back that up with any facts or anything.
It was 600,000, and it was in our time slot one of the top shows, and it ranked somewhere in the top 10 on cable for the entire night. And in its time slot, I think it was along with ESPN and Fox News. TBS was one of the top 3 channels, and it was also. To me, if you add in what I would believe we have on our streaming audience, more people watching than last year's Blood and Guts. And our
hold on. He had 600,000. That's the number that came in on the new rating system for Dynamite, which that was their big show, and they're back to kind of doing what they were doing for a while before the new rating system, and they went in the 400s. And he still claims to not know how many people watch on Max. If he is anything or anybody to the WBD conglomeration, and he's producing a television program for which they're paying buku bucks, then it would seem to me that he could say, hey, I need some fucking numbers from your company on how many people are watching on your service here, not only for my own personal information, but also because when it ever comes time for us to renegotiate. You mean to tell he's doing deals with this company and he don't have a clue how many people's watching on his thing and how important it is to HBO Max or whatever this goddamn deal is? So that's number one. And in number two, if he doesn't know for real and he's not lying and he is not insane and a rotten business person, maybe has he told him, don't tell me. I don't want to know because then I'll have to say. What? How else do you explain this conundrum?
I don't explain it at all. Let's go back to Tony and hear how he explains it.
Audience this year, our cable.
You know what the streaming numbers are?
No, I don't have them.
They don't tell you?
No, I don't have them.
Okay.
And I honestly don't know how many people would have watched, but knowing that it was our most watched show in months on TBS, I would expect it was probably our most watched show in months on streaming. From what I've seen in sports, we don't get every streaming number from every game with all the data, but I do know from the NFL that there's a healthy and growing audience that watches the events on streaming. So I think that TBS is still.
Oh, they tell the NFL.
Yeah, that's interesting.
They're big blabbermouths to the NFL, but Tony, your wrestling program, fuck, that's in Fort Knox.
He has an idea how the NFL does. He didn't necessarily say he knows how his team does. He tried to get away from that, probably because he would realize that it would.
Well, and also old Ariel said, they don't tell you, I don't have that.
Yeah.
Which is
kind of bread and butter on Wednesdays and TNT on Saturdays. But I think that's a growing part of the audience, especially in the younger demographics. What's been really exciting for us is at the beginning of the year, I was thinking that there was a possibility, okay, we have this audience at the end of 2024. I was here in New York for the holiday shows. We're coming back again to do Christmas Collision and Dynamite on 34th Street around the holidays.
Yes, Hammerstein, right?
At Hammerstein. Yes. They were great events last year, and they really set the stage to come in and have this great year we're having now. And, looking at it back then, I was thinking, okay, well, the new year's about to start. This is uncharted territory. We've never done the simulcast. We've never done Dynamite live on Wednesday. It's still on TBS, but now we're also going to have people watching on HBO Max. Collision's still going to be on TNT, but we'll have people watching on HBO Max. My thought is we're going to have some new viewers that have never watched before coming on HBO Max. we're also possibly going to have some cord cutters that have been away from cable coming back to AEW on HBO Max. But I
to have a
was
one
prepared for a
wrist cutter.
possibility that there could be some erosion or cannibalization of the cable audience, which did not happen. It came out the other way. In Q1, Q2, and Q3, if you look, our share went up and our total audience went up.
Okay.
So we have this really great success story.
Wait,
Now,
hold on. Wait, he's saying the first 3 quarters of this year, the ratings for Dynamite went up. Haven't we been watching them for quite some time now slowly trickle down?
We covered them week by week for several years. We have at least one, and I think one in the can, one that's out and one that's coming in terms of omnibuses of us covering the ratings. This was a down year, not an impressive year. He's saying everything was up. Previously, I heard him make a comment like that, but he had a qualifier. It was like, if you look at, quarter hour versus quarter hour, it's up.
Well, it would also not Dynamite, but Collision on Saturday nights is in the 200,000s. We used to make fun of it when Punk left, and it dropped into the 4s and 5s. So it's now in the 2s, which is lower than 4s and 5s.
Well, the other thing important to mention here, too, is that this is now 6 years or so of this is my favorite year. Everything's great. I think we're on a great run of shows. We've been hearing the same things over and over and over again. This isn't like a new concept. But he just keeps saying the same thing.
Interesting because we don't get the same kind of numbers. In Q4, there's been this big change in the Nielsen system.
Yes.
Which is why it was great to see this huge number we did last week for us, because it was like, well, that's the best number we've done since the change. And so clearly there was a great response to it. But also Collision the previous Saturday had done the best number it had done since the change in this system. So we're seeing good response, and we've really closed the gap. It's kind of like in the pandemic. If you look at where AEW is as a percentage of the WWE shows, this is really one of our strongest runs.
Oh, Christ on a cracker. He's closing a gap with the WWE. Jesus Christ.
Watch out, Nick Khan.
I don't even have anything to say.
It's a robust gap. Let's go back to Tony.
And if you look at where WWE is, say the audience of Dynamite compared to SmackDown, for example, or Raw, this is a great time for us. And you would say that along with some of the peak times in AEW, this is right there as 2025 right now, what's happening, that the AEW audience as a percentage of the competition is about as good as it's ever been. And with the streaming audience, like I said at the start of the year, I wasn't sure if the cable audience.
Could that be true? As good as it's ever been? Like early on when Dave Meltzer was even pitching the idea that they could surpass Raw, they weren't closer, and they had bigger attendance figures on a regular basis. They weren't closer to closing the gap then than now?
He is somehow, because all of the WWE programming now that's on the various streaming services that he doesn't have numbers for, or he can, is he claiming that his TV ratings are close to like the NXT ratings, or the gap isn't as wide between him and SmackDown now, which is true because SmackDown was on network TV, but you're not counting Raw and Saturday night's main event and these giant premium live events and these massive multi-million-dollar gates, but there's some statistic in there. I don't fucking know.
Audience, if where they would go, and actually the cable audience at the start of the year, and then again as the year went on, grew. So that was pretty exciting. And so from the first 3 quarters, that's the case. And now they track the data differently. So we'll see how this goes. But we're in the 4th quarter, and so far it's been this awesome year.
Jim, those were Tony's thoughts about ratings and attendance. They had a good attendance for AEW in Greensboro for the War Games.
For the Blood and Guts.
Blood and Guts. I mean, I was
40-something hundred people, I heard.
And it looked good, but, noticeably they went to smaller buildings because they had to. And you can't say attendance is up. That would be ridiculous. But Tony seems to say that the ratings and the attendance are up despite what we hear or see.
And somehow he's got a statistic that can prove that there's more 18 to 34 lesbian nuns. So that makes the win.